Yes, sir. Anytime I break par on this golf course or shoot par on this course, I'm very happy.
What holes in particular gave you the most problems today?
Well, I made 2 bogeys. I bogeyed the 3rd hole. I hit a very bad drive there. I was trying to hit a low hook, and I hooked it too much and caught the big tree, and it dropped right down under it, and I made bogey there. And then, of course, the 9th hole, I had about a 25 or 30-foot putt for a birdie, and I left it about 2 feet short and then missed it.
That always hurts.
Yes, it does.
Of course, you got the birdie on 18 that we saw, so you more than compensated for the 2 bogeys.
Yes, I made a very good putt at the 8th hole for a birdie, too. I made a good one at the 18th hole for a birdie, and a couple other good ones, too.
Well, Billy, a fine.
I was very pleased with my irons. I hit the ball. I was over a lot of greens, and of course, it was a result of I was in the rough quite a few times off the tee, and I did hit a lot of good iron shots. No real wild ones, but the ball had a tendency to fly quite a bit out of the high grass.
Other than your 67 in Phoenix earlier in the year, I think the 68 is probably the best round you've had this year, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I've been in a, well, I call it a slump. I don't know what other people would call it, but for about 3 months now, and for the last 3 weeks, I'm starting to play a little better, and I'm very satisfied at the point.
In an informal but lengthy and heated discussion, the Fort Worth City Council learned today that it is ineligible to assume the responsibility of administering the federally funded Community Action Agency. City Attorney S.G. Jandro ruled that he could not certify the city's legal right to perform a substantial part of guideline functions as required by the Office of Economic Opportunity. OEO Attorney Franklin Moffitt then informed the council that the federal government could not recognize the city council as the administrative agency. Councilman Harris P. Hoover, who had spearheaded the drive to assume the poverty program administration by the council, then debated Jandro on the question of whether or not the city could contract the contested functions to other legal authority, for example, the Fort Worth Independent School District in the case of the Head Start program. The state auditor for the OEO declined to attend the morning session, and Moffitt said his office was not required to discuss the results of an audit in which it has been charged that large amounts of money have been wasted with the city council, since the council is not, at this time, a member organization of the OEO. After 2 votes, the council agreed to put the matter of a public hearing before the Monday session of the council over the objections of Councilman Harris Hoover and Mayor McKinley. Bob Gooding from the council chamber for Channel 8 News in Fort Worth.
Here in Dallas, they are the justices of the peace. They also preside over the small claims courts and examining trials and have charge of deaths. The JPs have no medical knowledge. Thus, according to Dr. Rose, many autopsies are needlessly performed, while many that should be ordered are not. In fact, Dr. Rose has said that it is very probable that many murders have been committed and not detected because of the coroner system. Here's how the coroner functions as explained by Justice of the Peace Charlie Davis.
I try to determine from the officer that first arrived after the call was received from either the ambulance company or the police department or sheriff's office, whichever it may be, try to determine if there has been some doctor in attendance upon the patient. Those facts are usually obtained from relatives or friends or whoever might be living in or around the place to ascertain what disease, if any, he had been treated for.
Now, what happens, or when is the autopsy actually ordered, if there is one ordered?
An autopsy is usually ordered in any case where there has been a death, that possibly there has been some type or kind of violence.
In my next report, I will explain how we can modernize our coroner system. For Channel 8 News,
Carl Mayo reporting.
Well, of course, my feelings are that insofar as his not being a liberal concerned, I think I class this as the biggest joke of the political year, because certainly every race that he's run and lost, he's run it as a liberal. And if he's not a liberal, why doesn't he renounce the endorsement of the AFL-CIO and others, some of these long-haired weird groups that are supporting him over this state? I think that the issue is clear, that it will be determined by those who vote liberal and by those who vote conservative.
My proposal is that we reconsider, that the city and the county should reconsider and jointly assume the responsibility for this and not delegate it to the Dallas County Community Action Committee.
Why?
The reason for this is simple. I think the people of Dallas have always traditionally demanded that we have local governmental involvement in the spending of funds and carrying out of programs. I think the program that the Community Action Committee has carried out has been fine, but the purpose of the Green Amendment was to permit the city of Dallas and Dallas County and other governmental agencies to accept this responsibility and administer the program through an agency such as the Community Action Committee.
Dallas is in exile, says Esquire magazine in its current issue, and according to the cover story, one of the things Dallas needs to do to come out of exile is to rebuild the downtown area. They recommend on the cover that architect and planner Vincent Ponte should have his way with Dallas. Mr. Ponte, if you had your way with Dallas, what would you do?
Mr. Reynolds, I'm a planner, not an architect. I mustn't get the architectural profession disturbed. But to answer your question, what you would do to any city. Most American cities are in a mess right now. It isn't just Dallas, and it isn't because Esquire says so. What Dallas has started out to do to itself began long before I came on the scene. It began with goals for Dallas back in '66. What I am charged to do by City Council and the Mayor is to help make this city not only one of utility and convenience, but one of pleasure and one of diversion. Our role, and what we're charged to do, Ponte Travers and Associates, as planners, is working very closely with all the architects in the city who are now doing these developments and pulling the bits and pieces together to produce a city in 3D, three-dimensional city.
What will this mean to Dallasite in the future?
I think it's going to make Dallas a more interesting place downtown. I don't think it'll probably go to sleep at 5 o'clock. That's soon. It'll stay open until 10 and 12.
With the unexpected resignation of Dallas County Medical Examiner Dr. Earl Rose, attention is again focused on the alleged problems of the Dallas County system of handling deaths. In a series of stories, Channel 8 will explore the problems that brought about Dr. Rose's resignation and what can be done about them. In his resignation, Dr. Rose revealed what he thought of the county's coroner system, which he said was out of date.
The justices of the peace investigate and certify death. This is a duty that I believe they acknowledge that they're not qualified to perform. I think we should replace this with a bona fide medical examiner system whereby deaths due to violence or under unusual circumstances are investigated medically.
Is Dr. Rose's charge valid? The county commissioners say yes, and add that they've been trying to jock it since as long ago as 1957. Judge Lou Sterrett and members of the Commissioner's Court have some definite ideas on the coroner system, but they may be watering the flowers after the rose has already wilted. Here's what the judge thinks.
Well, Carl, anything that's new or any sudden change, people are prone to oppose. Dr. Rose was brought in here, sort of a temporary setup. He's one of the finest men in the field. He's gotten along well with the Justice of Peace and with all the police agencies, and it just takes time and patience to bring these things about.
The county's 10 justices of the peace now investigate the deaths which are unattended by a physician. They would be out of the picture completely if a new system were adopted. J.P. Charlie Davis has a contemporary way of looking at such a move.
The coroner system, as it is being utilized in Dallas County, lacks a whole lot to be desired on any and everybody's part. We certainly need somebody in charge of the whole county, which would include all municipalities in that county, through which a central clearinghouse or central agency could demand and get all deaths channeled through that particular department.
Dallas City Police, and the Homicide Division in particular, like the way the deaths are now handled. The police aren't talking, but those in contact with the lawmen say the officers want the medical examiner to be a tool to use in their criminal investigation, and not to be an obstacle that they would have to circumvent in their pursuit of clues. In other words, the detectives want a free hand to carry out their duties in a death case. In our next series segment, we'll probe into the death examination, where it all started and how it's done. Carl Mayo reporting.